you in glasses.
Oh, fuck me. I forgot about him. He's just in the corner.
I was going to try and ignore him the entire time.
It's not. Let's not be too mean. Ladies and gentlemen, with me, along with Austin Baca, good friend of the show. You should know him by now. If you don't, you're stupid. Either way, is a gentleman named the Kibbler, who I met in the street, which is cool, I guess.
Yes, thank you for having me on the show. I enjoy it.
I feel totally comfortable right now. I don't know about you, Austin. But
I'm moving back a couple feet, but don't let that dissuade you from asking all your questions to the Kibbler.
The is it Mr.? Are you a sir? I want to call you Mr. Kibbler for some reason.
Well, I don't know if I have much of a title, but they call me the Kibbler.
The Kibbler. All right. Well, the Kibbler. Whereabouts do you hail from? I don't know much about you, but you seem like an interesting character.
Well, I live in a shipping container. I guess it originated in China, so you could call me Chinese if you like.
You are definitely the most interesting-looking Chinese person I've ever met.
Well, thank you.
And I used to live in Hawaii. There was a lot of them Chineses there. I don't know why I said them Chineses.
Them Chineses?
It's just really fun to say things in my accent of whatever it is, but saying things that I think like a Southern guy would say. I'm just like, oh, them Chineses, you know.
You're starting to become a part of the Reno fabric.
I am. It's really growing on me like a fine mold.
So, Mr. Kibbler, how long were you in this shipping container? Were you just born in it?
Well, I don't remember anything from before the time I was about 3 years old, but ever since then I lived in a shipping container.
Now, was this just by yourself?
Oh, yeah. Well, just me and the squirrels.
The squirrels?
The squirrels?
Yeah.
That's...
Elaborate. What are these squirrels that you're talking about?
Well, I'll give you the whole story. Is that they call me the Kibbler because I grew up on a diet of Old Roy kibble, a Walmart brand. It was actually weight management kibble for fat dogs. Well, I lived on that after the blast until I learned how to attract the squirrels with the kibble. You see, I started to run out of it, and I thought I might starve to death, so I needed a new way to find protein for myself. And so what I would do is I would find fishing line, and I would take the kibble and I would crush it into a powder, and then I would put the fishing line into the kibble and repress it. Weight management kibble, especially, cheap kibble from, say, Walmart, like Old Roy, well, it's mostly cornmeal and animal byproducts, so it crushes it easily into powder, and it recoagulates easily with the fishing line into it. And then I would feed it to the squirrels, and then they would have a squirrel bowel movement, and some of it would stay within the squirrel, so I would grab the squirrel poop and I would jerk it, and I would fish the squirrel back to me from its entrails out. I love squirrels. Love them.
So you're a modern trapper of sorts. Is good.
That's sort of what I was kind of going for.
Yeah, sort of. Like the old Canadian trappers with fur hats, and except you're doing it with, just kibble and entrails and such. It's ingenuitous, if anything.
I would certainly say.
Well, thank you.
What do you expect to get out of those squirrels? And actually, outside of the poop, I mean, are you looking just for pure companionship?
I feel like he's using them as he's not just gathering their poop.
Well,
I mean, I heard the poop part, and that's why I
use squirrels for a number of different things. Companionship is one. I also use them for meat and squirrel milk, which I turn into squirrel butter.
Oh,
it's good.
I've had plenty of the cockroach milk from Mr. McGillicuddy's Cockroach Milk Farm. Drink the freshness. Thwap, thwap, thwap.
Plug.
Plug. But I have never actually had any squirrel butter and or milk or any of their dairy products. How is that?
You certainly seemed excited when you said it too. Yeah. So that gives me some high hopes.
Well, squirrel meat, squirrel butter, squirrel milk. It's all the staples of my diet. My diet is almost entirely squirrel at this point.
Oh, wow.
We can tell you came in looking as scrawny as a twig.
It doesn't have a whole lot of nutrients in it, I'll give you that.
I mean, I can't imagine it being any worse than kibble, so I feel like it's an upgrade.
Honestly, you could have just eaten the kibble and probably gotten all those nutrients out of that.
Well, the thing is that a human being is much more larger than a squirrel, so you can actually acquire much more squirrel meat using the kibble as bait than you would have if you just ate the kibble yourself.
All right, I see what he means. I'm not sure if he's actually sold me on this whole.
Teach a man to fish.
I'm
not sure
He
that-
will eat a squirrel.
It's been a minute since I've heard that saying. I forget how it goes.
Yeah,
but
I mean, I've never actually used any sort of tools to trap animals at all. Was this a lot of trial and error? Because I don't know. I've never read any books saying trap squirrels this way. Was there just a lot of yanking and trapping?
I kind of came up with the method myself.
Oh wow.
Yeah. In addition to the meat and the companionship, I also use them to power my transportation.
Like a sled?
Well, it's actually a little red wagon. I've attached the 35 to 38 squirrels to my radio flyer station wagon, and I also trapped 5 bobcats.
Oh, are they like the leaders, like the lead pullers of the?
No, the bobcats are chasing the squirrels. That's what propels the vehicle.
That makes a lot of sense. I was thinking it'd be like a carrot on a stick situation, but it's more of
No,
a.
they are running for dear life. Anywhere I go, I am traveling at the speed of the fear of death. Squirrel death.
You can't measure those in miles per hour. By the way,
You can't. I mean, the fear of
it's very
imminent death.
it's very ingenuous actually coming from the
powerful.
Kibbler.
I don't know exactly how fast it is, but it is swift. Until one of them falls down.
What happens if do you need the 5 bobcats?
Yeah.
What if you're
because-
down? What if you're short a bobcat? Does that sort of like ruin the whole like team cohesion that you got with the bobcats
I mean,
chasing the
3 or
squirrels?
4 bobcats is going to scare the shit out of a squirrel no matter what.
No, for
That's
sure.
true. But 5 is
very
just
true.
like making sure you got all your bases covered.
Exactly. Well, also, if one of the squirrels should fall down or their hearts gives out, and the bobcats, they will swarm on the squirrel. And if there's about 5 bobcats, it goes very quickly, and we're back on our merry way.
I feel like that was sort of like when the Iditarod racers would just put a bear next to their dogs just to make sure that they were. I feel like maybe that wasn't a tactic. I think I saw it on Balto once. There was just a bear in Balto.
I haven't seen that. I've seen Balto 2.
You've only seen Balto too?
Very. I guess it can just be assumed that the only real supplies the Kibbler had in this storage container was a radio flyer wagon and a copy of Balto 2. I don't know what was
Well-
it. Did you have a VHS or DVD?
Well, to tell you the truth, I had some people have told me that my speaking voice sounds something in between a warlock and Larry the Cable Guy, and that's apropos as I grew up with only Mr. Fantastic Teaches Magic Blu-ray DVD, and also a Larry the Cable Guy DVD. And
Both.
that's how I learned to speak English, even though I'm clearly Chinese.
And raised by squirrels, apparently.
Well, we grew up together.
it's more of a one-way relationship with the squirrels, actually. If you
Oh,
think
it's like
about
a
it.
Batman thing. It's like him and the bats weren't like best friends, but he was raised.
Just by the fear of the bats is what
Yeah.
molded him into the man that he is today.
Yes, they were integral to me becoming the person that I am today.
So, I mean, really, when you were trying to survive, you were really just trying to get her done, is what you were doing.
I like that. That's a good one. I enjoyed that very much. Did you see the one where he was talking about his grandmama walking around the flea market and she was wearing them rubber pants? She had the walking farts and they blew up like a balloon. Do you remember that joke? I remember that joke. I learned
I do.
English from that joke.
So I'm glad that you could learn English from Larry the Cable Guy so that you could take integral parts of the American psyche, like walking farts and Walmart, and just keep them
Yeah.
close to the chest.
That's how I found out the butter was so important. It's a staple.
That's how you you were just like, well, butter's got to be made of something. So you were just like, let's just take some squirrel excretions and see what happens.
Yeah, squirrel milk. And a lot of people don't know this, but squirrels actually have 5 nipples.
5? Is it like an offset 3 and 2, like dominoes?
It's 2 and 2, and
that's-
then 1 down there, right by the gibble bits.
I think that might be a dick.
I don't know. I mean, it's all the same. It's still so it comes
Still
out,
milk.
It's white. It's got protein in it. Who gives a shit? Do you?
I mean, I would give a shit. Like, if you were selling me some squirrel milk, I wouldn't.
Especially the butter, because I was sort of on board with it at first when he mentioned it, because he was so enthusiastic about it. But now that you're sort of bringing up the fact that it might have just been a squirrel penis, That sort of has me kind of stepping back a little bit.
Well, if it's not milk, then why does it turn to butter when you churn it?
That's a good question, but I'm also... he is jerking the air hard right now. I'm back to being a little bit uncomfortable.
I don't know much about churning milk, but all I know is you do that.
You just do it. You do one of those motions. This is another
Just whisk it a little bit?
Yeah,
until the milk comes out.
Kibbler really is one of the most fascinating, I think, characters
Definitely.
you've ever encountered.
Thank you.
Now, with the...
That's not a compliment towards you. This is more a compliment towards Bobby for just finding you.
Oh, well, thank you for finding me interesting enough to come on the show.
I mean, I saw that storage container, and I was like, I'm either going to find supplies or a dude. It's never anything else. It's either I'm going to find some cool supplies or there's going to be someone living in here. And my surprise, it was a load of squirrels and then you. The smell of kibble was definitely recognizable. Now, I'm really hung up on the squirrel milk thing.
Sure.
When you're milking the squirrels...
Let's dwell on that some more.
Is there any milk that comes out of the other 4 nipples, or is it just the one bottom one?
Well, that fifth nipple's what I call the sweet teat, so I don't even focus on the other 4. I don't think about them a whole lot.
Yeah, that's what I kind of figured. Oh, man.
It's weird. Only like about half of the squirrels have the sweet teat.
You think it's like a genetic defect?
Is those half of the squirrels that only have the 4 nipples then?
Yeah, some of them have 4, some have 5.
Have you tried milking those ones real good? Just trying to get the...
I don't know why I would. I get plenty of squirrel milk from that 5th sweet teat.
The Kibbler, I'd hate to tell this. I think you've just been drinking squirrel jizz.
Well, I mean, what are you going to do?
I don't know if Larry the Cable Guy has sufficiently explained to you the difference between male and female genitals, especially in squirrels. I don't remember there being much jokes about it, but...
Not in Larry the Cable Guy.
Yeah, not Larry the Cable Guy. Maybe Ron White.
Maybe.
But with Larry the Cable Guy, he's probably just telling you to get her done. That's about it.
Well, I mean, goddamn, what am I doing other than getting it done if I'm finding out and getting my milk or whatever it is, sustain myself from the squirrels?
Easy, don't punch the table, please, Mr. Kibbler.
I'm sorry about that. I'm just very passionate.
I mean, really, if you're staying alive, I mean, more power to you, but
I think the squirrel jizz is where we might have to draw the line with this show, if you ask me. If you want to get like a majority vote here between me and you, and then I guess the Kibbler, but we know how he's going to swing. I'm not for it.
I'm not for squirrel jizz.
Well, if you figure out a better way to make squirrel cheese, squirrel.
Now you didn't
butter.
mention squirrel cheese before. Now is it the exact same process as the butter? I don't even know why I asked that.
No,
I'm afraid of what I might find out.
Well, it's when I'm making a squirrel butter, and then whatever spills out and then gets left on the ground, and eventually that turns to squirrel cheese. I mean,
how long do you let it age before it turns to cheese?
Don't ask. Don't enable this.
I gotta make sure that there's some scientific process.
What do you think? Until it's hard enough to eat.
I mean, the closest approximation of that amount of time would be by and by. I don't know how you measure your time. I mean, it's like
man,
a little bit longer than sooner or later, but not quite someday.
So you don't have
by and by. It's in the middle.
Do you measure like how many times the sun goes up and down, or have like a sundial of some sort?
Oh, well, that would be how many laps.
Oh, how many laps?
Because I am always traveling into the sunset and also the sunrise.
What do you mean by that exactly?
Well, in the morning time, the sun comes out. You
right.
familiar?
Yes, I am.
Yeah. So I travel into the rising sun. About noontime, well, I just hang out and take a little break because I can't fly. So how am I going to chase the sun?
Of course, because you're limited to your 5 bobcats.
Exactly.
And however many squirrels you have pulling your little wagon.
I mean, the squirrels can go vertical, but that's only up a tree, so that's only going to get you so far. So I just take a break in the middle of the day. Then about 1 or 2 o'clock, we got a direction to chase the sun again, and then we go back. So,
and I'm assuming you always end up right back at your home.
Yeah, just about.
With that.
Sometimes I end up a little bit farther, but I'm like, hey, I'm not I might as well turn around and go back to the storage container. I'm not going to find anything better than that.
So how many?
I've never seen Bobby.
I was gonna try to go back to the
Stunned.
cheese, but I don't know if I want to know at this point.